another mouthful question. Could you describe in detail a particular incident or scenario where you utilized your own philosophy on leadership?
I can. It was really cool. So in 2013, I had this awesome experience where Dr. Polio, who is now our superintendent, he was at J-Town High School, and he gave me an opportunity to do a social skills group with a group of freshman boys who had Asperger's syndrome, and many of them had attempted suicide. And so he gave me what was called advisory at the time and said, you get to teach them, you can utilize these personnel and work with this group of boys. And at the same time, I took on someone else's role to work with another high school that was suspending boys, African-American boys that receive special ed services. And so with our federal law, we suspension over 10 days, then we owe them back compensatory service. So I was asked to go and work with a group of boys there, ninth graders also, and help them to not be suspended for up to 10 days. So I'm running these two social skills groups. And again, because what works for kids with autism works with everyone, I was able to run them the same way. But I got to see the differences in the different populations. So when I start a social skills group, I have students tell me what their goal is, and then we draw a roadmap to their goal. And then they put in potholes, detours, that sort of slow them down on the road to that goal. And my students with Asperger's syndrome, their goal was college. And, a pothole may be getting a B, or not getting into the college that I want to get into. And for my boys that were more emotional behavior disorder or other health impaired, their goals were not being in jail, staying alive, not having a baby. And so I was able, leadership-wise, like I've said over and over, relationships. Both principals gave me office space and let me immerse myself in their schools. So I had these groups. I was getting to know the boys. I was able to model for the staff that were working in both schools. And not only special ed staff, but regular ed staff too. And I just immersed myself, and the boys knew I was there. So if they were having a problem, they could come see me. At J-Town, my kiddos would run to that class. Like they just loved it. And Dr. Polio came down a couple times and was like, wow, it's because we were doing something more specific to their needs. Our students with autism need those soft skills. And our kiddos who are on the streets, they need relationships too. They're definitely not going to work for you or invest unless you have invested in them. So I think it was that immersion into a school. And I would have regular ed teachers coming up and saying, you talked about this book and I want to read it. Or one teacher came up and K-TIP was a program for new teachers. And she made her project on a student with autism. I had never had that before. So she wanted to help change one of his behaviors. So it was amazing, and it was extra work. So both of them, one was taking someone else's position, basically on top of my position. And the other was taking on a bi-weekly class that I was teaching. But it just helped me so much to make a difference for those students. And all of my boys from J-Town graduated and got into college.
Awesome. And
the boys from our other high school, many of them were not as successful, but I was in a school 2 years ago, and one boy came back and he saw me and he's like, I thought that might be you. And he's like, I'm coming back to school. I dropped out. I had a baby, but I'm coming back because I can't get a job without a diploma. And then one of the young men has become one of my sons, and he has lived with me and the boys. He lived with us on home incarceration. He just got out of jail again last week, but
Okay.
in jail he got his GED, which was my hope for him. And education is what's going to work. And,
Okay.
He's hopefully going to get into college and keep his head down and just graduate and be successful.
I wish you the best of luck with that
Thank
and how
you.
it turns out.